x plus 1 and g of h, and that is h of x equal to x minus 1 over 2 or divided by 2. Find a, the inverse of g of x, g of h of x, then x if g of x equal to 2. So this topic is function. So these questions are coming. This question is coming from a topic called functions. Okay. So where we have the inverse functions also. Yeah. So in this case we have the question 1. So we're going to continue revising. So in this case, to answer question 1, so the first thing that we need to do is rewrite the functions that you have been given. So we have been given that g of x equal to that. So the functions that we have is g of x equal to 3x plus 1. Okay. We also have h equal to x 1 over 2. So these are the two functions that we have. And then they have actually asked you to find the g inverse of x. So when you encounter such a question, so the inverse simply means the opposite. So they want you to find the opposite of this function of g of x. So how are we going to find the inverse of this or the opposite of this function? First step, equate this function to y. So where there is, first let me write, so we have g of x equal to 3x plus 1. So the first step is equate this function to y. So by replacing g of x with y. So where is g of x? I will replace y, and then I'll say equal to 3x plus 1. So this is the equating we're talking about. And then after this is step 1. Step 2, you make x the subject of the formula. So you make x the subject. So how are we going to make x the subject? Since 3x, x is attached to 3. Okay, so, and we have plus 1. So make this one close and equal sign come this side, so that 3x remains alone this side. So we are going to have y, when this positive 1 crosses an equal sign comes this side, it will be minus 1 equal to, here we have remained with 3x. That is the first step. Second step. So now in this case, we want to make x the subject. What does it mean? Simply means it should remain around this side. Should remain along this side. So we divide both sides by this, even here, 3. So that 3 and 3 will cancel. You remain with x only. So we have x equal to y minus 1 divided by 3. So we have made x the subject. So the last step is now replace y with x. And here x replace it to, you know that we are finding the inverse. So you just say g inverse of x equal to, so where there's y here, you now replace x. So you have x minus 1 divided by 3, meaning this is our inverse. So this is the opposite of this function. So do not forget, the first step is to equate the function to y. This is what we did here. And then from there, we made x the subject. Okay. After making x the subject, then we replaced y with x now to give the final answer. Okay. Second question. G of h of x. So if you have b, so g of h of x. That is what we have. So in this case, what does it mean? It simply means you are actually replacing this function of h of x into g. So this is what is happening. You are going to replace this function into g. Where there's x, so the first thing is right. So you have g h of x equal to, what is the function of h? So the function of h here we have, it's this one here. So you're right. So the function of h we have, it's x and then divided by 2. So that is what we have there. And then what about the function of g? The function of g we have, it's 3x plus 1. So what is happening is we are replacing this function of h into the function of g, where there's x. So you replace this function here, okay, where there's x. So you say, okay, 3, then you say open brackets. So you are going to get the whole of it here, this one, the whole of it, and then replace it where there's x there. So it will be 3 open bracket. So we're just replacing this where there's a position of x. So that is x minus 1 over 2, close brackets, then plus what? Plus 1. This one there. Okay. And then after that, you now open up the brackets, you multiply here. So 3 by x, that is 3x. Okay. And then 3 by negative 1, that is negative 3. Then plus what? 1. Okay. Divided by 2. Okay. So it's like this. So this division actually is not scattering 1. So you don't need to extend the division to 1, because this is just for this part. So that one remains, okay, like that. So now in this case, we have what does it mean? Here it simply means if we have, so we can't, since this division is not scattering that one, so we can't subtract directly negative 3 plus 1. So what we're going to do is, we know that this division 2, this denominator 2, is for both this one and this one. So it can also be written as 3x over 2. If we try to distribute it, then divided by 3 over 2. And then plus 1. Okay. Plus 1. So we have this part. So after having that part, so we have 3x over 2 minus 3 over 2 plus 1. So we're going to evaluate this part. Okay. So how are we going to evaluate that part? So you just balance here by putting cover 1, and then you look for find the lowest common denominator where 2 and 1 can go into, and that is 2 itself. So 2 into this one, that is 1 multiplied by 3. So it will be 3x over 2, okay? Then we have minus 3, okay? Sorry, so here we have 2 into, that is 1, yes, 3. And then 1 into 2, that is 2, multiplied by that, multiplied by 1, that is positive 2. Okay, so in this case you have 3x divided by 2, negative 3 plus 2. So different signs you subtract and maintain the sign from the bigger number. So negative 3 plus 2, that is negative 1. over 2. Okay, so now that the denominators are the same, you can now put this together and have one denominator. So you have 3x minus 1 over 2. So you can subtract 3x minus 2, meaning our answer ends here. So this is our GH of x. Okay, so this is our answer. Okay, this is our answer. So you, when copying, actually due to space, you'll be pausing some, and you copy, you try to pause some so that you understand as I'm rubbing due to space. Okay, so we now come to the last question. So last question is saying the value of x if g of g equal to 22. It was actually 22 here. Okay, it's actually 22, not 2. Okay, so now I want you to find the value of x if g of x is equal to 22. So what does it mean? But in this case we don't have g of x. Okay, so what we need to do is we actually need to we have been told first of all to replace the function of g into g itself. So where is g? G is 3x plus 1. This is our function of g. So we're going to replace this function of g, the same g, we replace it into itself. Where is x? So g of x equal to 3, open a bracket. So where there is x, we'll actually replace the function of g itself. Okay, so we have 3x plus 1. Okay, so we have replaced this function of g in where there's x, then plus what? 1. So where there's x, we replaced the whole function of g, which is 3x plus 1, then plus 1. Okay, so we have 3 by that is 9x. Okay, 3 by this, that is 3, then plus 1. 9x, so these are like terms you can add. So 9x plus 4. Okay, so now in this case you have been told that find the value of x, this x, if this function of g of x is equal to what? 22. So what you're going to do is you're going to equate this function of g of x that you have come up with, equate it to 22. So you put 22 here. Then we find the value of x. So we close and we correct the like terms. So 22, this 2, this 4 will come this side, it will be minus. So the sign changes to negative. Then we have x. So in this case we have 22 minus 4, that is 21, equal to what? Sorry, so 22 minus 4, that is 18. Okay, and then equal to 9x. So now in this case we have to find the value of x, we divide both sides by 9. Then here 9. So 9 will cancel. You remain with the x. The 9 into 18, that is 2. So meaning the value of x is equal to